experience first.
Yes.
I know you are a lawyer by career,
Yes.
but you developed into conflict management.
Yes.
How did that happen?
Lawyers deal with conflict, but so does everyone else. And when I went to law school, the notion of being a lawyer would be that you fight with other lawyers, and you may go to court. But what we learned is that lawyers settle cases, and you settle cases by negotiating. And so part of what we wanted to do a long time ago was to develop courses that we could integrate into the teachings of law schools and business schools and other professional schools that would help people deal with differences that they may have, negotiate to a better outcome.
Okay, so you started this as a part of improving your own career.
Yes.
As teaching
Yes.
and learning about other techniques that could help you.
What I have to do, what other lawyers have to do, and after law school, I went and worked on the staff of various committees in the U.S. Senate. And what I observed there was that senators spend all their time negotiating.
That's right.
And some of them are very good at it. And some of them, the staff would say, he just can't do it. And so I and others were trying to figure out what's the difference. What are we observing one place that we're not seeing over here? And what is the lesson, and how do you package that in a way that helps people, not only senators, but real people, get better?
To learn those skills.
To learn those skills and apply them when they're talking with their spouse, with their kids, with their colleagues, or when they're talking to other countries.
So that's why you co-founded Conflict Management Incorporation.
Yes. After I was on the committees in the Senate, I practiced law for a while, and then with my colleagues at Harvard, we founded two companies called Conflict Management.
Okay.
And we have been working, fortunately, had the pleasure to work with people around the world on that question of how do people deal well with their differences.
So this company is a consultancy company?
They're consultancy, they teach, they negotiate on behalf of people, they facilitate negotiations. That may be business, it may be law, it may be labor negotiations, it may be international negotiations.
And who are your clients for those things?
Clients come in two forms, those that pay and those that don't.
Okay.
And those that pay are banks and international agencies like the World Bank or the International Monetary Fund or the Inter-American Development Bank or others that have money. Those that don't pay are NGOs that are trying to improve the environment, or small groups that are trying to deal with a government in a developing country where there is no money to pay, but they ask for our help and we try to be helpful.
So when you started this corporation, did you actually envision it as doing the two things, not only helping but also teaching to pass on the skills?
Three things: helping, teaching, and writing, spreading the word of what our hypotheses are so that people could say, that doesn't make sense, or that doesn't work here, or whatever. So we could figure out why doesn't it, and what's the fundamental questions that need to be addressed. And when we started, we thought those were three different business lines. We'd have a training group and a facilitating consulting group and a writing group. What we found is that they're actually one. To really help people in complex negotiations, one has to develop their conceptual foundation, help them be better negotiators. To help them be better negotiators, you can't talk about general subjects. You eventually have to talk about what their specific situation is. And to write, it's useful to know something. So they become one, and we find ourselves doing all of them together.
Okay. So you, for example, in your teaching branch, you do trainings for companies or for specific corporations.
Yes.
But what about your experience as a professor? What take you to that area?
Part of it is when we started, we wanted to be able to develop courses for the professional schools. Lawyers need to be better at dealing with differences, at settling cases rather than litigating. Businesses need to be better at getting deals that work. Doctors need to be better at negotiations that go on within the medical community, but also with their patients. And so part of it was a desire to develop a profession that would produce courses that professional schools would integrate into their professional training.
So that got you to UNC and teach.
And well, what brought me to UNC was my wife moved to Chapel Hill.
Okay.
That's a different negotiation.
That's true.
But it turned out well. And when I was there, they asked me to lead a course on international conflict management, and I have been privileged to do that for, I think, 8 years now.
Okay. And if I understand correctly, that course is teach for a specific group of students coming from both universities from North Carolina, Duke and UNC,
Yes.
where you put them together and try to bring the skills.
International students from around the world, and I match them with some North Carolina students. Most of them are graduate students, but we put in some undergraduates, outstanding undergraduates as well.
Okay.
We try to get a broad mix of people in the course so they learn from each other.
Okay. And from those classes, what do you think is most important for students to take? The experience that other classmates bring into it, or?
The key thing in negotiation is people. And that was a surprise to me. I thought negotiation was about numbers and about money and about things like that you could count. What we found was that negotiation is really about understanding the people around the table and what they care about and how we can work together to put a deal that may be better than walking out of the room with no deal.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. We'll be right back with you. Nos vemos en un momento. Vamos a un corte y regresamos.